Hi, Steve Norton, anxiety specialist here. I got a message the other day from one of the parents who contacted me asking me a very important question. How do I know if my child really does have anxiety or whether they're just using it to skip school? Now that is something that I have come across in the past, and that's something that my colleagues in the same business as myself have also come across. So it is something that, even though you might not want to think that your child would do that, it is actually quite a fairly common possibility. So why would a child pretend to have anxiety when they don't have it? Well, namely, to get out of school. Now I remember when I was at school, I would do anything to get out of school. But back in the day, we used to do all sorts of things. We'd even put stuff like talcum powder on your face, get a little biro, put little dots in your hand, little red dots, pretend you had measles. It's amazing what we would do back in the day to try to get anything out of school. Pretend you had a stomach ache, felt sick. But my mother, she was quite sharp when it came to that, and there was no way on earth she'd ever fall for that, and she'd always get me rumbled. But today we have the anxiety thing, which is different, because the anxiety is, as we know, the invisible illness. So how do you know if your child really does have anxiety, or is just making it up basically to skip from school? Now, I've been working now with anxiety for 22 years, so I know when people come in when they've got anxiety. There are certain character traits, there are certain body language that they give off that I can instantly tell when that person's telling me the truth. And having had anxiety myself, I also know how that feels and how it feels to have anxiety. So here's the thing. How do you know when somebody genuinely has anxiety? Well, when clients come in with anxiety, they could literally spend an hour telling you about that anxiety. They know it inside out. They know exactly how it feels. When it starts, they would literally spend the whole session talking about how anxiety feels. Now, here's the thing you find with some children, is they come and you ask them about how they feel, about the effects of anxiety, and they can't tell you. And the reason why they can't tell you is because they've not experienced it. They've got an idea of what anxiety is, and they'll just tell you some words, and they'll say, yeah, it's like a panic attack, or I felt a bit weird, or in a lot of cases, they'll just say, I don't know. Now, when you've got anxiety, you know how it feels. You know exactly how it feels. So there's no misinterpretation with that. And one of the things kids will often say when they are skipping school is that they'll say, no, I love school, I like going to school, but whenever I go to school, I feel anxious. Well, that doesn't really make a lot of sense, does it? You know, you enjoy school, there's no problems at school, but you're anxious at school. In reality, there's probably more chance that they are actually making that up if that is one of the things they're telling you. Because if they liked it, they'd be going to school. It's amazing how many kids will come, and not just in my practice, but other people's practices I've heard too, that will tell that story about enjoying school, but they're just anxious about going to school. Like I say, it doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? If you like school, why would you be anxious about it? But they are very good at creating this story. And often when people come in and they haven't really got anxiety, they come in quite confident looking, as if they're going to beat you in some way. They're going to beat the system, they're going to con you. And the thing is, when I've worked with a lot of people, like I have over 2,000 people, I know exactly what the signs are. So they don't con me. And often the story starts to fall apart. If they are not making any progress with it, no matter what you're doing, even if the things that you're using with them have worked for so many other people before, if they come in and they're getting like very marginal changes, it's generally a sign that they're actually not using it. Because if they were using the techniques, it does actually create massive change with people with genuine anxiety. They can literally come back a week later and be 50, 60, 70% better. So if they come a week later and say, oh, it hasn't worked or whatever, then you start to question that. Now, it is a difficult thing to broach. It's a difficult thing as a therapist to broach because, you know, in the day, is that client has brought their son or daughter to see you, and there's a possibility they could be making it up. So it is a difficult sort of conversation to have. Now, I'm not suggesting also that every kid that comes is making it up. Absolutely not. That most of the kids that come to see me have genuinely got anxiety. But you've got to entertain the idea that there's a possibility that they could be getting something out of the behaviour. It could be attention. It could be, a way of bargaining for certain things. And like I said on a previous post, you've got if you had a young guy that isn't going to school, but then he's at home and he's playing his Xbox instead, why is he going to give that up? Why would he prefer to go to school rather than playing on his Xbox? And the other thing when it comes to anxiety is often when they talk about the final year and the pressure that they feel that they're on. Now, I don't know about you, but I felt pressure in my final year. I think everyone does. I think every generation does. And I know we like to think that this generation's got even more pressure, and maybe they have, I don't know. But what you do find is that it can often be an excuse to not do so great in your exams. It is the ultimate shirking of responsibility. Oh, I've got anxiety. I couldn't do it right because of my anxiety. I couldn't study right. So, like I said, I'm not saying that every kid does that, but you've got to open your mind to the possibility that if your child has these mysterious anxiety spells whenever they go to school, but when they come home, they're fine. Because when I had anxiety, I couldn't just turn it on and off like that. And generally people with anxiety can't do that. Generally when you've got anxiety, you're anxious all the time. Obviously you've got different levels of it. Some is higher, some is lower. But these kids that come home and immediately feel fine when they come home, and then they're straight on their iPad late at night, doing all those things and Snapchat and stuff like that, is not how people with anxiety operate. So bear that in mind. There is a possibility that you could be getting the wool pulled over your eyes. Not in every case, but if I ever find out that I think they are, it's my duty of care to mention that to a parent. So I hope that makes sense, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.